Hello, buddy. Welcome back to Tin Man's Core Channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'll be reacting to my second scary story teller channel for y'all. And this one is Nightmare Files. And the video that I'll be reacting and watching is 3 true scary horror stories that will creep you out. So this is going to be good. Probably not. But anyway, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road in the bag, shall we? Okay, here we go. Nightmare Files.
I'm 21 now, but when I was 4 years old, my sister had just turned 16.
Okay.
She had just gotten her license and was so excited. It was probably only September, and she got her license in July. My sister is from my dad's first marriage, and she lived with her mom and stepdad while I lived with our dad and my mom. We lived about 30 minutes apart. My dad worked late hours, and my mom frequently traveled for work.
I know that must be a hassle in the family scheduling because your half-sister has to stay with her mom and stepdad, and you only get to see your sister whenever she visits you guys. But anyway, let's just see where this story goes, shall we?
So I had to spend time a lot with my babysitter until my sister got her license. My dad finally gave her permission to pick me up after she got out of school and take me to her mom's until he got off of work. She was so excited to finally be able to use her license. I know I said I was only 4, but I remember this event so vividly. There are parts of it, understandably, that I've forgotten over the years. It took years for my sister even asked me if I remembered it. But when I told her all the parts I remember, she filled in the rest for me. It was one of the first times my sister would get to pick me up from my babysitter, which means it would be one of the first times she'd been allowed to drive with me alone. Almost as soon as we pulled onto the main road, a white pickup truck swerved behind us. After a few turns, my sister noticed that the truck still followed her. Even when she would just switch lanes, he was right there switching behind her.
Okay, automatically that would make my blood pressure jump because you don't want this person following you straight home and grab you guys once you get out of the car. Because if you got a little sibling in the back of your car, you don't want them experiencing any trauma of someone following you guys and possibly kidnap you or rob you.
My sister, being a bit of a paranoid person, tested it a little bit and switched lanes several times. She said she heard his tires squealing by his quick cuts to get behind her. She told me not to worry, and I remember being an oblivious little kid. She looked scared, but I had no concerns. The man started to get really angry. I don't remember really anything about what he looked like, but I do remember that he had this look of pure hate on his face. He wasn't angry. He was full of hate. He was honking his horn repeatedly, just laying on it. He was very close to our car. He was swerving back and forth, trying to get our attention. He would pull up beside us occasionally and flip us off and honk. The first big event came about when he pulled up at the 4-way stoplight. It's a bigger one, so there was a lot of room in the intersection. We were the first ones at the stoplight in our lane, and nobody beside us. The man used his lane to pass us, and he pulled his car in front of us, almost in the intersection. He was blocking us at this point. I so vividly remember that white pickup truck. He got out of it and started storming towards our car.
What is the world's this guy's problem? She didn't cut you off, but once he gets out of his vehicle, I would have been trying to turn the wheel of mine and go around his vehicle real quick before he got to your car, because if he's storming up to you like that, that means he's really mad and wants to grab you out of your car and have an altercation. You need to hurry up and do something quick or call the cops.
He was screaming so hard I remember thinking his face almost looked purple. Neither one of us remember what he was saying, but he pulled up his shirt to reveal something that was horrifying. He had a gun. He pointed it at us, threatening us, and closing the gap between us. My sister put her hand over my body and told me to close my eyes and forwarded through the intersection. She said she was worried we were either going to hit him or get hit in the intersection, but it was a better chance than sitting there and waiting for a psycho man with a gun. He hopped back into his car and followed us. My house was closer to where we were than my sister's, so for some reason, she decided to go to my empty house. Obviously, he followed us and blocked us in the driveway. He got out and walked towards my sister's car, pulling out his gun. Once again, she had to think fast and swerve her way across our lawn back onto the road. This is before cell phones, and she had just started driving. It was still young. She had no idea what to do. He followed us back onto our neighborhood road, pulling up next to our car and hitting his truck against us.
Dadgummit. Obviously, at this point, he wants to rob you, but he ain't going to stop. And she said this is a time before cell phones. Just find a cop near you and pull up right beside them and tell them what's going on, because this dude is clearly out of his mind.
Trying to make us skid or wreck. There's a small area of grass between our neighborhood road and a major busy road, and it was obvious he was trying to push our car hard enough to send us into the traffic beside us. I remember him doing that little gesture where you drag your finger along your throat, like you're slitting it, like he was going to kill us. His face was still purple. There was a gas station nearby, and my sister decided on the last thing she could think of. I remember her talking to me so seriously and sternly. She told me she needed me to be a big kid. In a second, we pulled by the door of the gas station to undo my seatbelt and jump out, run inside so fast that I shouldn't even worry about closing my door. I was to run inside and go directly to the person behind the counter and tell them to call 911 because a bad man was following us. We pulled in, and she threw the car apart and jumped out and did as I was told. She was only a few seconds behind, but she had actually stopped the car, parked it, and turned it off. She closed the door and mine for me and just ran inside with me. The man came into the parking lot behind us, and when we were inside, he went through my sister's car. By the time the police arrived, he was gone. They never found him, and we never knew what provoked him or what his plan was. The only thing he took from the car was my sister's ID and the cash she had on her.
Why would somebody want to steal her ID? Maybe trying to make a fake one for some odd reason? I don't know. But I'll be making sure the cops get like the security camera footage of the gas station if they have a security camera system, and see if they caught that dude on it, what he looks like and what vehicle he's driving, so they could find him and arrest that SOB, because he really scared the crap out of them two kids. Dang it, I hate he did not get caught. He left by the time the cops got there. I would have tried to lock the doors of the car real quick before he got out of his car and grabbed you, because once you're inside, he'll have a hard time trying to open up your car. But I'm just glad that they did the right thing, ran inside the gas station and told the cashier to call the cops, just so you guys would be safe from him and you didn't have to run in with him after you left the gas station. So let's get to story number 2.
I had just moved into a tiny town that was literally in the middle of nowhere and had less than 100 people in the total population. I was about 7 at the time, and I had overheard my parents talking about a dog that kept barking all night that kept them up. I wanted to help them, so I went out looking for neighbors with dogs, just to ask them if they could maybe keep their dogs from barking all night. So this particular town had a bad track record of houses catching on fire. So there were a lot of old, half-burned houses just sitting there.
Okay, that'd be a creepy neighborhood to live in, because if you just see half-burnt houses, I'll be like, why they haven't been torn down or rebuilt? Because hearing that will make me think like you're living in a neighborhood that was bombarded with explosives. But seriously, that'd be sketchy.
This particular incident happened with one of these ruined houses. As I'm walking, I hear someone call out to me, and I turn to see a very beautifully kept lawn in front of a nice white two-story house. There's a nice old couple sitting in lawn chairs out in front, and the woman is calling me over. I walk over to the fence. The woman asks me what I'm doing walking around here by myself. I tell them about the dog and ask if they know about it. The woman says that it's her dog and she'll try to keep the dog down, and then offers me a full-size Snickers, and I took it. Feeling like I accomplished my goal, I went home. At that time, I really wanted to eat the Snickers, but it had melted on my walk back home, so I put it in the freezer to chill.
Okay, I'm glad the person said they'll take responsibility and try to keep the dog quiet, but that's kind of creepy that somebody's living in one of them half burnt up houses. So I tell you, that's probably a creepy homeless lady with a dog. And if she gave you a Snickers bar, I wouldn't eat it. You never know if it's got poisons put in it or razor blades.
Then my friend comes over, and we head over to her house, and I forgot about the candy. Wondering how the ruined houses fit into this? Well, when I return home from my friend's house, I tell my mom about the nice couple, and they will keep their dog quiet. I tell her where the house was, and she gets really confused. What do you mean? There isn't a house there. I would have shown the candy bar as evidence, but I had totally forgot about it. After some back and forth, we agree to go on a walk tomorrow in the daytime, so I can show her which house I mean. Next day, we walked down to where the house was, and there was no house. The well-kept lawn was just overgrown weeds, and the house was just nothing but a pile of rubble. Only the fence still remained. I ran home to show her the candy that I had just remembered about, and that was gone too. I still get chills when I pass by that vacant lot to this day, and right now, I'm 20 years old.
Okay, that's a little creepy. I would have just showed the mom that candy bar once you got it, because if you went with her to go see that house and the house was gone and you went back to show her the candy bar later, then that happened where the candy bar was gone too, then how else are you going to prove it? They're going to think you're crazy. Maybe you should look up information about that area, because if there was a house there and it got burnt down under serious circumstances, see if you can find any pictures of the couple that lived there and see if they're the same people you saw. Because if they are, that's very spooky that you just saw the ghost of them.
When I was really little, my parents would let me stay up late on the weekends and watch TV until I fell asleep. I really loved these times and would stay up later than anybody else just because I could. Well, one night, I almost fell asleep on the couch when I heard a noise on our front porch. It was the sound of our old-fashioned porch swing moving back and forth. I was a little scared, so I crept toward the bay windows of my living room and peeked out towards the porch. Sitting on my front porch swing was an older woman, probably in her 50s, wearing nothing but a nightgown, covered in blood and holding a huge kitchen knife.
Holy crap. You see somebody with blood over their nightgown and holding a knife? Call the police and tell them what you're seeing right now. Because you don't know if that person's a psychopath or they just ran out after defending themselves from another bad person. Because you don't know what the situation is going on here.
Flipped out immediately and ran screaming into my parents' room, but was too terrified to form the words. My parents saw that I was upset, but when I finally was able to tell them what I saw, my dad got really angry and told me that I was just dreaming and to go to bed. I refused and kept crying and screaming until he had enough and snatched my arm and dragged me towards the front door to prove that nothing was there. I kicked and screamed all the way trying to make him stop, but he kept pulling me. Finally, we got to the door. He unlocked it, swung it open, and said, "See, there's nothing that..." To this day, I have never seen the look of fear and shock that was on his face. when that woman turned and stared at both of us and slowly stood up with that knife. My dad slammed the door shut and got my mom to call the police while he went and got his gun.
I hate when I hear stories about parents acting like this where they don't believe the kids and they tell them to go back to sleep until they have to go prove it themselves. But when they see it at first glance, then automatically be like, okay, now I believe you. That's why I always said parents should not doubt their children about what they're saying. Just go and investigate, and if you don't see nothing, tell them. But if you do, believe them and get 911 involved just in case if that person was dangerous. In this case, there is a dangerous woman out there.
He went back to the door with a 12 gauge and cracked the door enough to stick the barrel out. He asked her what she was doing, and she said, "Somebody killed my husband, but it wasn't me." My dad told her that the police were coming, and she freaked out, grabbed a knife, and walked away. The police found her 15 minutes later trying to break into our neighbor's house. I never slept in that living room again.
I wouldn't blame them because if I experienced that, I would not be sleeping in the living room as well. That's just creepy. But when that woman said that someone killed her husband and it wasn't her, I'd be like, bull crap, but why are you bloody and carrying a knife? Because that tells you right there she's guilty. Probably mentally insane. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more Nightmare Files content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day.